Good morning, everyone. Shall we start right now? Okay, I hope all of you enjoyed the previous 2 days session, and today we will have digitalization session. My colleague will ADB team ask me first, we have a short announcement here, the digital deep dive sessions that will take the entire day in this room and are organized by the ADB Emerging Areas Practice Team. So first, we thank our ADB team colleagues. And then, first of all, I would like to say good morning to everyone. And today, you can find the title of our session is Digitalization and Agriculture. And at today's session, we will invite the ADBI, Asia Development Bank Institute, Dean and CEO, Dr. Sonobe-san, to provide opening and welcome remarks. And after that, we will invite our 5 speakers, one by one, to have a seat here. And then we will have a photo taking. And also we have some friends join online. I'm pretty sure they are allowed. So we will also think about to thank all of their participation. Then, first of all, I would like to invite Dean and CEO of ADBI, Mr. Sonobe-san, to deliver the opening and welcome remarks. And I will have a very brief introduction of Sonobe-san. Dean and CEO Sonobe-san joined the ADBI since 2020, and he obtained his PhD in economics from Yale University and BA in the economics from the University of Tokyo. His research interests are concentrated on the economic development, particularly the role of industry clusters, human capitals, and social capital management practices, and market competition in industrial development in developing Asia and the other regions. And before joining ADBI in 2020, Dean Sonobe-san served for 6 years as a vice president of the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies in Tokyo and taught economics for 30 years at Tokyo Metropolitan University and Greece. And Dean Sonobe-san is a recipient of the Nikkei Book Publication Prize and the Masayashi Ohira Memorial Prize, and a founding board member of the Japanese Association for Development Economics. So I would like to invite you, please join with me to welcome Dean and CEO Sonobe-san to deliver his opening and welcome remarks. He will join us online. Actually, he was here the previous 2 days, but he has been in Tokyo. So that's why we just welcome he's joining us online right now. Dean Sonobe-san, the floor is yours. Are you ready?
Thank you, Ishi. Yes. Can you hear me?
We can see you.
And then,
yeah, please.
can you hear me?
Our technician teams.
So, good morning and welcome to Deep Dive Session 1.1. So, as just Ishin said, I was attending the forum yesterday and the day before, but today I'm speaking from Tokyo. Too bad. Still, it's a pleasure to provide some opening remarks and be part of this important session. The use of mobile phones helped smallholder farmers in low-income countries by, for example, helping them optimize markets for the produce. An important question is how digitalization can help them further. An increasing number of studies have addressed this question and have found the smartphones could provide not only market information, but also more sophisticated agricultural extension services. There could be more benefits, or much more and more benefits of digitalization for smallholder farmers, for consumers, and for future generations and the planet, because digitalization could contribute to agricultural productivity increase, food supply chain efficiency improvement, environmental preservation, and the reduction of agriculture's carbon footprint. Last year, Professor Wang Ma and Dr. Dilrahut and I were invited by an academic journal called the Review of Development Economics to edit a special issue on rural and agricultural development in the digital age. The special issue obtained several very interesting findings, which will be discussed or at least mentioned soon by Wang and Dale, who organized this deep dive session. Thank you, Wang and Dale, for putting this session together. And Wang became a full professor very recently. Congratulations. Learning about the benefits of digitalization is one of the main purposes of this session. But we are also interested in at least two other important issues. One is how to finance digitalization in agriculture to scale. To what extent public financing is needed. Professor Michael Kremer discussed this point in his keynote speech on day one of this forum. But we want to know whether there is any additional point of argument or a new finding about financing. Another is about industrial organization and competition policy, especially about how smallholders can be protected from negative consequences that could arise from a possible data monopolization by big tech in future. We are curious about these issues and probably more, and we are very happy to have distinguished speakers, Dr. Emily Schmidt and Professor Paul Winters. Thank you very much, and very nice to meet you. I hope we will have a very fruitful and deep discussion in this nice session. So thank you very much and for your attention. I stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dean and CEO Sonobe-san. I would like to ask all of us, join me to give a big plaster to Dean Sonobe-san. Thanks to the technology of digitalization, we can have him online. It looks like he's sitting here in the same room with us. Okay, now let's start today's session. As you know, in recent years, the digital revolution has made its way into every aspect of our lives, including agriculture. In this deep dive session, co-hosted by ADB and ADBI today, we are honored to invite 5 experts to share their insights on the relationship between digitalization and agriculture. We will have 5 experts here, and I would like to introduce them one by one, and then I hope after I introduce one, please come here and have a seat here. So first, we have Professor Wang Ma, and then Dr. Dio will present their research on rural and agriculture development in the digital age. Dean Sonobe-san already mentioned it. And then we have Dr. Emily will join us, give us a presentation on the filling the gaps, information policy dialogue in the data-scarce countries. Then we have Professor Paul Winters will present on improved weather and seasonal forecast. And then my colleague from ADBI, Dr. Dina, will present her research on food security in CARIC region. CARIC is Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation, so we call it CARIC region. Then each presentation should be strictly limited into 10 minutes. And a timekeeper I invite here will, at the back of the venue, to flash the remaining time left in the following intervals. 5 minutes left, 3 minutes left, 1 minute left, and then time over. So please remember it. And then After the presentation, I hope every presenters, please, if you can, give us 3 keywords to summarize your presentation, or 1 sentence to summarize your presentation, to help the audience here in this room or online to have a very good memory of your presentation. So I would appreciate if you could do that. Then we begin now from the word of welcome. Yeah, every expert, 5 experts as presenters here. First, let's invite Professor Wanglin Ma. I have a very brief introduction of Professor. He's an Associate Professor, Department of Global Value Chains and Trade, Lincoln University. Welcome you,
nice to meet you.
Ma. Yeah, please have a seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my seat. You can choose any. Yeah. Professor Wanglin Ma is Associate Professor at the Applied Economics. His expertise lies in agricultural economics and development economics. Through Wanglin's research, he strives on the unravel the strategies and solutions that enhance farm economic performance, augment people's subjective well-being and household welfare, and foster sustainable rural and agricultural development. This is a very short, brief introduction. Thank you, Wanglin Ma. Then we would like to invite Dr. Dio from ADBI as our presenter. Dr. Dio is a vice chair of the research and senior research fellow at ADBI. Welcome. So Dr. Dio is a vice chair of research department and senior research fellow at ADBI, Asia Development Bank Institute. He's my colleague. And his interests focus on the development, microeconomics, agricultural economics, and environmental and natural resource economics. He's currently implementing improvements and field research in agriculture, natural resource, and climate in area. And prior to join ADBI, he was a senior global program manager for the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Centers, CMIT. You may have heard of that if you work on agriculture. Yeah, and he's also a social economics and sustainable. Yeah, he's the leader of social economics and sustainable programs and serve as the chair of the staff's committee of the CMIT. And he has a lot of experiences. I just have a very brief introduction here. And he has over 130 publications in the Scopus Index journals and has just edited several journal special issues. And he also served as the editorial board members of the Asia Development Bank Review and lectures. And his lectures at the university, he's also lectures at the University of Tokyo and Hitotsubashi University in Japan in recent years. Thank you, Dio. Then I would like to invite Professor Emily Schmidt, Senior Research Fellow, International Food Policy Research Institute. Oh, welcome, Emily. Thank you for your joining. Please have a seat. Emily is a Senior Research Fellow in the Development Strategy and Governance Unit. Her research focuses on the intersection of development economics and the geographic information system, with an emphasis on the dynamic process of rural land transformation, rural employment diversification, and agricultural production outcomes on household welfare. And her most recent research explores household livelihood strategy in Papua New Guinea, including the linkage between agriculture, poverty, and nutrition outcomes among rural smallholder farmers. Thank you, Emily. And then I would like to invite Professor Paul Winters, the Executive Director, ED, Innovation Commission of the Climate Change, Food Security and Agriculture, University of Chicago. Welcome, Professor. Please have a seat. Professor Paul Winter is the Kenneth Herbert Professor of, my pronunciation is not good, maybe, yeah. Professor of Global Affairs and Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in the University of Notre Dame School of Global Affairs. Thank you. His research and teaching focus on rural poverty, food insecurity, and climate change, and evaluation of policies and programs designed to address these issues. Currently, Professor Paul is the ED of the Secretariat of Innovation Commission for Climate Change, Food Security, and Agriculture. And previously, he worked at the American University in Washington, D.C., and the Inter-American Development Bank, and the University of New England in Australia, and the International Potato Center in Lima, Peru, and a lot of experiences here. Sorry for my very brief introduction. And then, last but not least, I would like to invite my colleague in ADBI, Dr. Dina. Dr. Dina is a senior research fellow here at the Asia Development Bank Institute. And welcome, Dina. Dina joined ADBI as a research fellow in 2019, and previously he worked as a research fellow in the Energy Economies Division of the Energy Studies Institute, National University of Singapore, and she was a research fellow at the Highland Business School, University of Reading in UK, and where she worked as a project entitled Kazakh-British Center for Competition Needs. And she also worked as a leading and chief specialist for the tax committee at the Ministry of Finance of Kazakhstan. And she has a lot of research productions, but I just have a very brief introduction here. And she earned her PhD and MSc in economics from the University of Essex in UK. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. And then we will have a photo session here, and we have a photo online. I'm pretty sure that my ADB colleagues as technicians will take a photo for the room. They hope is a very beautiful picture with all of us. And then now I would like to invite the speakers here. Join me. We take a photo here with our professional photographer here. You already take photos for this room. Okay, thank you. And also, I would like to invite Dean Sonobe-san, if you are still online. Please join us. Maybe the ADB technician colleagues will help us to get Dean's photo. Now, please join me. Have a photo here. You prefer we stand or we stand? Stand. Later. So. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience. Now, we will start our presentation. I will announce some the process of today's here in this room. Next, we will have a presentation. I already said every speakers have 10 minutes, and then we will have transition to a 20 minutes Q&A. And all the colleagues here, friends here, you are welcome to put forward your questions. And this will be an opportunity for you to engage directly with our experts. Please prepare your questions. And then to make the sessions as engaging and informative as possible, I would like to request that you introduce first yourself, where you're from, very briefly, maybe one sentence of yourself, what you are interested, and please also mention, your name, your field of interest, with which panelist, which speakers here you would like have your question to be answered. And this will not only foster an interactive environment, but also enable our speakers to provide answers that are most relevant to your interest and expertise. And if someone, for interest of time, you could not get your questions to be announced or answered here. We have some Q&A online. You also can put your questions online, and we hope the speakers or some colleagues could answer your questions later. Now, next, let's welcome Wang Lima, because Wang Lima and Dean Diao, they are authors of one good book. So Wang Lima will represent the authors to have this presentation. Thank you. Please join us. Give a big welcome. Thank you. Please, you just.
So where is the slides?
Yeah.
How should I find the slides?
I think the technician group will show the PPT of Wang Lima. Yeah, this is. You wait a moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Yixin, for your nice introduction and opening remarks. Good morning. You're very welcome to this presentation. Today, I'm going to present the work titled Rural and Agriculture Development in the Digital Age on behalf of our team with Dr. Dil Rahut. Information and communication technologies, that is ICT, broadly defined as internet, phones, computers, tablets, and so on, are ubiquitous and influence our day-to-day lives. The proliferation of ICTs has transferred markets and governments and households. From this figure, we can see that the internet penetration rate in Asia and the rest of the world is growing in recent years. And access to and the use of ICT has also increased considerably in recent decades in rural areas of developing and transition countries. And ICTs are reshaping the people's life. And figure 2 shows the adoption rate of smartphones in the Asia-Pacific regions from 2019 to 2021. From this figure, we can see that the smartphone use rate is also increasing over time, with a prediction of 94% in 2030. So a growing number of studies have explored the effects of ICTs, and they found that ICTs have impacted rural and agriculture development. For example, it is found that internet use stimulates farmers' adoption of agriculture technologies, increases farm productivity and technical efficiency of crop production, improves food and nutrition security, and reduces rural poverty. And it is found that the usage of smartphones and apps promotes rural labor mobility, increases gains obtained from agriculture production and marketing, improves rural farmers' subjective well-being, such as happiness and life satisfaction, and facilitate rural economic transformation. In addition, ICT adoption contributes to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, helps diversify rural income, improves the psychological health of rural farmers, stimulates rural entrepreneurship, smoothens rural consumption expenditure, and promotes environmental sustainability. Although the existing studies have provided significant insights of the roles of ICTs, some research gaps still remain. For example, it is unclear whether smartphone use can make a difference in empowering rural women in low and medium income countries. Little is known about the effects of smartphone-based extension services on agriculture development. It is unclear how internet use influences rural household consumption, diversity, and farm productivity, and how ICT adoption affects the poverty of vulnerable rural households. No previous studies have attempted to understand the association between ICT adoption and farmers' participation in high-value trades. So, to address these research gaps and improve our understanding of the roles of ICTs, and we organized a special issue in review of development economics on the theme Rural and Agriculture Development in the Digital Age in 2022. And we received 97 manuscripts submitted by authors from 16 countries. And this figure 3 shows the distributions of manuscript we received by submitting authors' countries. And also, we organized a virtual international conference for the spatial issue in August 2022. And finally, we selected 28 manuscripts and invited authors from 11 countries to make presentations at the conference. And the selected papers include diversified topics, including internet use, smartphone use, ICT adoption, and e-commerce adoption. And the spatial issue was finally published in 2023. And here, I would like to show some key findings from the papers published in the spatial issue. So, internet use generally increases rural household consumption diversity and agriculture productivity. Smartphone use empowers rural women in household decision-making and all farm work participation. Smartphone-based agriculture extension services boost rural income growth. And a lack of ICT infrastructure and inadequate skills to use digital technologies are two key factors that lead to digital poverty traps for smallholder rural farmers. And ICT adoption increases the probability of rural households' access to credit. And digital financial inclusion reduces farmers' vulnerability to poverty, and e-commerce adoption contributes to a higher gross revenue of cash crops grown by farmers. And here, I would like to briefly use one paper included in the spatial issue to give you some insights. And this paper is titled Rural Development in the Digital Age. Does ICT adoption contribute to credit access and income growth in rural China? We use the data from China to do the work. This work is co-authored with Professor Qiu from Renmin University of China and Dr. Dio Rahut, who is sitting there. And the primary objectives of this paper are to analyze the impact of ICT adoption on access to credit and to access the joint effects of ICT adoption and access to credit on household income. This is a brief conceptual framework show how ICT and access to credit influences household income, and due to time constraint, I will not give detailed introduction. The first objective is to estimate the impact of ICT adoption on access to credit, and we use the recursive bivariate product model to do the analysis. And the second objective is to estimate the joint effects of ICT adoption and access to credit on household income. And we employed a two-stage selectivity-corrected OLS model to address indigeneity issues of ICT adoption variable and access to credit variable, and to do the estimation. So I will not give details, but if you have any questions, I can answer later. So this is empirical results. It shows that ICT adoption significantly increased the probability of households' access to credit by 13%. And we also provided the results estimated by probability model. It shows that ICT adoption only increases the probability of access to credit by 3%. And here, we are trying to show that if we do not account for indigeneity issue of ICT adoption and estimate simple probability model, the results tend to be underestimated. And we disaggregated our results by gender and geographical locations. In general, the results show that ICT adoption can empower rural women in accessing to credit. And also, ICT adoption can empower people living in underdeveloped western parts of the China to access credit, because the effects on female household heads and on households living in western parts of China are larger compared with others. These results show the two-stage selectivity corrected OLS model. So we can see that I present the second stage results in table 4. We can see that ICT adoption can significantly increase household income. However, access to credit significantly decreases household income. However, this result is not impossible because for capital-constrained households, they may use the acquired credit to invest on urgent or necessary household consumptions such as children education, medical treatment, or food, rather than invest the money to income-generating activities. So I have presented the key results. Here, I would like to welcome you to join our forthcoming conference in 2 weeks on the topic mechanization of small-scale farmers in Asia, and it will be organized in 2 weeks. And also, this year, we are going to organize 3 special issues on e-commerce for rural and agriculture development, inequality and development in rural Asia, and circular bioeconomy for sustainable agriculture and agri-food system in Asia. And the information will be posted online soon, and we welcome your submissions. Thank you. That's all my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wang Lima. You are master of timekeeper. Thank you, time manager. Okay, so as we learn from Wang Lima that Diao-san also the author, but today he will not present here, and he has the opportunity to express some key thoughts of him. He will ramp up this session. So thank you, thank you, 2 of you, Wang Lima and Diao-san. Then we would like to invite the second presenter of our session today, Professor Emily. Thank you. Please also keep time. Thank you.
Do my best.
Thank you. Technician group, could you please choose the PPT for Professor Emily?
Good morning. It's great to be here. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we operationalize some of these digital technologies that we are seeing growing, crowding in, and changing the overall agricultural landscape and research, as well as policy dialogue. When I was talking with Monica about what I should think about, she said, well, you work in Papua New Guinea, so why don't you talk about this from a data-scarce country environment? So challenge accepted. We'll see how I do. Although I'm going to be speaking a lot about the digital space, about options in the cloud, about remote sensing and machine learning, it's really important to identify and realize that the success of this is all on the ground. And what I mean about that is people have to be interacting, innovating, improving, adopting these technologies, or otherwise they're just going to die in the digital ether of oblivion of the digital tools that don't get any traction. One of the big modalities for IFPRI in trying to ensure that these technologies are taken up is through some of our country programs. So here is a map of some of the country programs. I'm going to be talking about some of these areas where we really have had to think quite strategically about how to use some of these digital technologies, particularly in the case of data scarce or conflict areas. So I've already mentioned we have a variety of countries that are quite difficult to work in, where data collection is expensive, transportation is challenging, and security is quite questionable. Data scarce environments, because they're data scarce, often also lack data capacity for analysis, collection, organization, presentation, and informing policy. So there's a second component that really needs insertion in terms of a lot of capacity strengthening and collaboration. And that, in my opinion, is the key to creating digital systems and networks that can overall inform and not die in the digital ether. So I'm going to start this presentation with Papua New Guinea because that's predominantly where I work. I'm going to end it with Papua New Guinea. But in the middle, I'm going to tell a bit of a story. So when we arrived to work in Papua New Guinea in 2018, we said, okay, I think we need to do a survey. There had not been a household income expenditure survey since 2009. There still hasn't been until recently. There was not a nutrition survey since 2005. The last agricultural census was in 1961. And when we said we were going to do a survey, they laughed us out of the room. They said, no, this is going to be too hard. It's going to be too expensive. It's unclear. How would you do it? So we started off with 4 sites. It was a pilot. This year, just last year, we've now moved into 14 provinces. We did sort of an LSMS-based type of survey. What was important about this was in 2018, talking about food insecurity and insufficient nutrition was something that the government didn't want to talk about. It's hard to talk about that as a government. It's hard to talk about that with families that you're talking to in these countries. But through this process of identifying data options and disseminating data results, this topic has become less sensitive, and that's been really important. So we just finished this. I got the report. I was going through it. My son, he's 10 years old. He comes home, and he's like, what are you doing, Mom? I said, oh, yeah, well, look at this report. It's really great. It's a PDF file. And he starts poking at my screen. I'm like, stop. What are you doing? He's like, it doesn't move. What do you mean it doesn't move? He's like, it's not interactive. I can't. Well, challenge accepted. So here's my new version, which is only just a couple of weeks old. It's not online. The PDF report, there's your QR code if you want to look at it. It really does actually give a lot of analytical work that's quite recent and from last year. But the key is these can be tools for educating as well. You want to get youth involved in agriculture? Make it cool, right? You want to get people looking at statistics and thinking and interacting with it? Make it interesting. And so that's where we're moving to, and we'll be giving a course over at UPNG not only on data analysis, but data visualization, communicating these results. I mentioned already that consumption expenditure hasn't been collected in a really long time, so we did that. The government is now sensitized to more of this type of work, and they're interested and keen to start engaging in how they can think through targeting programs that look at these specific issues. I'm going to move on to another country, but I'm going to come back to PNG, I promise. Not only one-time event type digitalization needs to be occurring, but it needs to be an ongoing process. Here's a food security portal, which is marking prices across of different commodity groups in different markets. This is a similar thing to PNG as well. It's connected to a lot of rural facilities that are going out and providing information to farmers. But these analysts are now analyzing it themselves. So it's a teaching tool. Myanmar is another country where we have a large program. Similar to what I've just described in PNG, they needed to move out of the country quite quickly with COVID and then the ongoing crisis in terms of the civil war. But they've continued on because they have the network of human capacity that they've built previous to that, starting in 2014, to put in phone surveys. They've put in a variety of phone surveys, and the demand came from stakeholders and government and donor agencies. How can we target this better? So as you see on the left, they had calculated a food consumption score in these areas. It's a nationally representative survey, okay? But the question was, we don't know about the rest of these village tracts. The survey only covered about 3,000. We have 14,000. What do we do? And this is where we can harness the power of machine learning and the digital space. So in collaboration with a variety of Myanmar partners, as well as some of our innovative data scientists, we've used machine learning to train and test how we can start to fill in some of the data gaps that we just won't be able to get to, given that we're out of the country at the moment, right? Using this machine learning technology with moderate resolution satellite imagery, they're able to provide a spatially explicit estimates. Now, this shouldn't just be a data product, and in fact it isn't. 2 weeks ago, They were engaging and talking with a variety of stakeholders and government officials about what this means, how do they target, and where do they go. What I found interesting about this work was on the predictor important estimates. And if you look on this graph here, we still see that these economies, although they are in conflict, agriculture is so important. And so some of the predictors on these household food consumption scores initially are really rainfall, right? Of course, access to economic vibrancy, urban areas. Where we see the conflict coming in is not until about 7 or 8 bars down in terms of that importance, where we do see fatality, and it is important. So what we've done here, what I've shown you with the consumption, we can do with agricultural statistics too. And this is where, beyond the digital space, there's so many interesting technologies that are coming out. Often, when we most need those agricultural statistics, we don't have them, okay? They're crucial for policies, they're crucial for relief assistance, but they're really expensive and very time-consuming to collect. Well, let's harness some of these incredible technologies that are coming out. And so what we've done as a pilot in Mozambique, but we're moving in to think through in some of the areas where we're working in Asia, using, again, remote sensing, spatiotemporal patterns of satellites, and et cetera, we're able to look and develop area sample frames dynamically to look seasonally and also on demand. But the key is ground truthing. And this is what's been missing. And again, I mentioned setting up these networks of data collectors, of data analysts throughout the country that are engaging with this data, then can be called upon so we can co-learn and co-create together. In the bottom panel here, I'm showing you a couple of technologies. One, which is fantastic. This one is a digital crop monitor, solar powered, and it collects precipitation, evapotranspiration, radiation, plant health, all of what you would want in DVI to look at crop patterns. And it's not very expensive. Farmers can put it in their fields. We're using that for precision agriculture in vineyards in the US. There's opportunities to use it for crop monitoring in a variety of other developing countries. Similarly, technologies have been developed using drones. You don't have to worry as much about cloud cover, and in PNG, that's particularly important. This allows for in-field analysis of unmanned aerial vehicle imagery within minutes. We're not waiting hours. I know I've sat looking at digital imagery and trying to transfer it into actual data. Now it's happening automatically. So I'm returning back to Papua New Guinea, where when I initially showed up there, everyone said, no, there's no way you can do any of this advanced stuff. We can't collect data here. Well, now we're taking the data assets that we've been able to collect, the human input, where we've been collaborating together to better understand the territory that we're working in, and we're able to start using climate projections, and we're able to start using the ag statistics that I was just talking about in order to start planning policy for future. A big question that came out of Papua New Guinea was what's going to happen 30 or 40 years down the road with climate? Working with MIT and a variety of others, we've modeled what's going to happen in precipitation using a lot of climate, we've evaluated what's going to happen using a lot of climate data. And what we see is the western portion of the country is going to get more rainfall, the eastern portion of the country is going to get less. What's important is our big shocks, and those are going to become more frequent, and we can demonstrate that now at a more pixelated level. We can also then tie this to yields, simulating what yields will look like of specific crops, and this is maize, one that PNG is thinking about investing in pretty heavily because they don't have livestock feed. They're importing all of their livestock feed. Does it make sense to put in a major investment in maize given what we're going to see in the climate coming forward? And these are questions that we're evaluating and discussing with the Papua New Guinea government. I'm not going to go through because I realize I'm going to keep to time. But what we do see is there's a series of trade-offs. There's an opportunity for agricultural innovation, and even data-scarce countries can harness this. But it's all about the modality and making sure that it's taken up, it's sustained, and it remains innovative. So I think I've hopefully made my message in the sense that it has to be collaborative. There has to be a lot of demand-driven work in this and ongoing policy dialogue in order to make these tools and data systems actually work. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Emily, for your very excellent presentation. And now I would like to invite our next presenter, Professor Paul Winters, the ED Innovation Commission for Climate Change, Food Security and Agriculture, University of Chicago. Thank you.
The presentation?
Yeah. Technician groups, please. The PPT of Professor Winter.
I assume they're finding it.
You already, is your assistant already loaded?
Yeah.
Uploading? Technician groups, colleagues, please show us the presentation of Professor Winters. That's it.
All right, thanks. Good morning, everyone. I assume I don't need to convince everyone about the importance of digital agriculture, given that you came to this session, but we're going to talk a bit about that. The first thing, though, I wanted to talk about is a little about the Innovation Commission. So Michael Kramer, who spoke on the first day here, won the Nobel Prize in 2019 in economics, launched this commission almost exactly a year ago. The idea was that we were going to identify innovations that are out there that have the potential in agriculture to go to scale. And the premise of this is that we have serious issues around climate change, food security, and agriculture. And there are innovations actually that are out there that could help address those problems. The problem is we're not reaching hundreds of millions of farmers. We're reaching 10,000 here and 20,000 there in these small projects, and we get a lot of fragmentation. And digital agriculture is one of the places where you see this the most, that there's a huge amount of fragmentation, small projects here and there. And so when we did this work on the Innovation Commission, that was announced at the COP with the United Arab Emirates government, we identified 7 innovations. I'm going to talk about 2 of those, and Michael talked about those in his opening remarks, weather information and digital. So why did we focus on those? Because like the other 5 that we talked about, there's really, really strong cost effectiveness ratios in this. So for weather, Michael said in his opening remarks, 100 to 1. So every dollar you put in, you can get $100 more than that of social benefit. And the same with digital. He talked about 46 to 1. For every dollar you put into digital agriculture, you get a $46 benefit to society. Those are huge kind of ratios that for people like me who work at development banks and are happy if we get more than a 12% return to our projects, we're talking, thousands of percent return. And so we wanted to focus on these different kinds of areas. So why weather? Obviously, for climate change, we see increasing changes in weather patterns. Daily precipitation will increase by, variation will increase by 4 to 5%, temperature variability by 10 to 15%. And we see these fluctuations in weather that are going to affect the ability to produce agriculture. So if you're a farmer, and you don't know when the monsoon is going to come, and you don't know the intensity of that monsoon, it makes it harder to make agricultural decisions. There's new technologies, particularly around AI, that are improving forecasting. So it's not just that the forecast exists, they're actually getting better and better. The physics models are good, but the AI models are even better. And so we can improve the types of forecasts that we can do. And there's also this strong evidence that when you do give that, and we heard the benefits from the first presentation to providing digital information, specifically when you do give information to farmers on weather that's accurate and trusted, then they do change their behavior. And so there's a huge amount of potential here. So we're trying to figure out how you can procure and disseminate these accurate weather forecasts. And as I said before, we did this analysis in 12 countries. And in 12 countries, getting the forecast for those 12 countries, mostly in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, it only costs $23 million. Not a huge amount of money to get accurate forecasts. The benefits just in India over a 5-year period are $3 billion. So that gives you a sense of the kind of ratios we're talking about. If you have these huge benefits, why doesn't it happen, right? Why aren't we investing in weather? And I think part of the problem is there's no commercial incentive to do it. So the basics of weather almost everywhere, well, everywhere, are done by national organizations. In the United States, we have NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. Every weather app that I have, which I have a couple because I like to decide whether I'm going to go for a bike ride or not, and I'm going to get rained on, is based on NOAA data. They're private companies, but they're still on that basic data. So we need to have that kind of investment. So we need this public goods investment in order to have the right kind of information for farmers and get these incredible benefits. So the evidence just around the monsoon total rainfall. So remember, the monsoon goes through the Indian Ocean. It affects 3 billion people in the world, so we're talking about very large populations. And when forecasts were found to be effective, that they were provided to farmers, we see the profit increase by 11.5%. When bad rainfall is predicted, the planning stage investments go down and out-migration increases. So people are responding. So what they do is they get the weather forecast, it's bad weather forecasts, and they change their behavior. It lowers the planning stage investment by 15.8%, meaning again that they respond, and increases out-migration. So we see this response based on getting that information. So for the forecast in Telangana, 4 to 6 weeks. So the other thing with agriculture, the weather that's actually provided is usually not the best kind of weather for farmers. It's very short term often, and what you need is short, medium, and long term so that they can make the decisions. And it's not that that information is not available, it's that the information is not provided in an accurate way to farmers. So we need to make sure not just that we're providing getting the weather information, but we're actually giving it to farmers in an accurate and timely manner. So I'll move through this quickly. What we see is that farmers who receive bad news reduced cultivation by 22%. Those that received good news had a 16% increase in their investment in cash crops and input expenses. So again, farmers respond to this kind of information, and there's strong evidence on that. So we've been working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare in India. We have a couple colleagues, Kyle and Nishita back here in Amara, that's been doing a lot of this work. They're very interested in disseminating these forecasts via SMS, starting in early May, and the forecasts we're trying to put together are total rainfall forecasts, the monsoon onset forecasts, the proof of concept, so lessons for other countries as well, so that we could see how this worked. So the ministry already has this big database of farmers, between 50 and 100 million farmers, so we're hoping that we can take these forecasts to scale. Now, how does this overall work with digital agriculture? As I said, there's huge benefits to digital agriculture as well, and this has already been talked about some. Digital extension leads to changes in adoption of certain types of practices. It has a huge marginal benefit cost ratio in the amount. And so we think these two can link together quite well. So we know that millions of farmers already get these benefits of digital agriculture. But part of the problem is how do you actually deliver the information? So again, it's not just a matter of getting that weather information, it's making sure it's appropriate to farmers, but also that you do it in such a way that farmers respond. The nice thing about digital agriculture or digital weather information in general is that you can do a lot of human-centered design and what's called A/B testing. If you're not familiar with A/B testing, this is the testing that groups like Google, Facebook, et cetera, they do. They have huge audiences and huge set of users. And so what they do is they'll try one side of messaging, and then they'll randomly assign one type of messaging and randomly assign another, and then see which works the best. So you could do the same thing with farmers. Are they more likely to click on the detailed information if you present the message in a certain way? Are really long messages with all the information good, or is it better to have short messages which provide links? Once you've set up a system, you could test this out and see how well you can continue to do better and to learn as you go along once you set that up. There are huge economies of scale in this. So while you have an enormous fixed cost to starting with digital information, where you're setting things up, once you have it going, getting it to those millions of farmers becomes easy, because each additional farmer doesn't cost much. Now, we know that a lot of private sector entities, nonprofits are doing this already. It's going to be really hard, though, to reach to the tens of millions of farmers, at least if you have that, unless you have that basic platform that's created. So those economies of scale are very important. And so one potential model is to start with governments or others creating this basic platform, but then allowing that platform to be used by the private sector or to build off the platform, allow them to access the information, and you can get to hundreds of millions of farmers. And one of the things we want to argue then too is that weather forecasts are a key entry point into this. So if you're producing maize, if you're producing cotton, if you're producing coffee, weather is almost always very important. Even if you have irrigated land, weather can be very important as understanding your water management. Pretty much all farmers need weather information one way or the other. Once you build off of weather, and Michael's talked about this a few times in some of the forum we're at, you can dynamically build up these platforms. And some of the mistakes about these platforms is everyone tries to do everything at once, and it becomes too overwhelming. You start with really good information in weather. You get them to believe it, and then you start building up information that's specific to crops. You start having information on soil health. You start having information on markets, and you can build up something that's reaching millions of farmers off a basic platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Yeah, very innovative ideas. Yeah. Then let's invite our last but not least speakers, Dr. Dina. Dr. Dina, yeah, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So similar like Emily said, she presented household survey from data scarce regions. Let me present the household survey results from CAREC region, which Yassine mentioned. It's called Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation Region. So basically Central Asia, Caucasus, Mongolia. Please put my slides. Yeah. And so this is also data scarce region. The problems slightly different from Papua New Guinea because data usually not in open access, not in public access, sometimes hard to get. And also then hard to compare countries because they have different questions. Could you please put my slides? And then also there is a language barrier because region doesn't use English very well. So for researchers, hard to access such data due to language barrier. Should I click? Maybe. Well, it's not.
Technician. Oh,
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so this is, I'm happy to present our very, very recent, we just finished this household survey from the CAREC region. And let me introduce you, we started it since, thanks to COVID actually. We started with survey from CAREC region and we continued every year. But since COVID became not an issue anymore, we changed the topic for something important we think for the year. And last year we decided to do this topic on high inflation and food security. Why I was inspired by food security? Because that year I saw in news lots of food fights. You remember probably in Pakistan. And during my holiday visit to my home country, I saw the food fight as well. So then I thought maybe this is an important topic and we should cover it in this household survey. So you can see geographically the territory we cover for this household survey, also ASEAN and CAREC, is huge, is enormous. And we run same questionnaire across all countries, so easy to compare. Okay, so let me present you results. This is a preliminary results. Please understand we didn't have much time yet to analyze data. But this is obvious that most of people, you can see 80% think that in prices, generally prices went up significantly or slightly. So prices went up, that's what people think. 80% of households think that prices went up. Out of them, 60% think significantly, right? So that's huge. This is actually, if you look at official statistics of inflation, you can see this. This is true. CAREC region had very high inflation, even comparing to other developing Asia countries. They had 2-digit inflation even. So That's why I think this explains why people think prices went up. Mostly across countries, there is quite similar. The only outlier, I think, is Afghanistan, where numbers are less. So now let's see, overall food prices very different from food prices, right? Could be different. So then we wanted to ask people, what is your perception of inflation on food prices? So this is perception, not official statistics. So you understand people might think of larger numbers, but we wanted to know their perception. So what's interesting for that you can see across most countries, numbers are quite high. Outlier here is Afghanistan. Strangely, numbers are lower. And also you can notice that overall, if you look at for food, for all countries overall, and then for food, you can see that food inflation slightly lower than overall inflation. And this is true for most countries, except for Azerbaijan, where food prices were higher even than overall inflation. So you can see this, some countries highlighted where perception of inflation was very, very high, like Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Mongolia. Yeah. Now we ask also for food security, of course, food questions. For example, how often, if ever, you did not have enough money to buy the necessary food. So this is kind of food security where it's driven by lack of money. And we see that most people, so 60%, experience this, that they don't buy food because no money. So this is 60%. And 18% said often. This happens often. And you can see also across countries, the numbers are quite similar. Yeah, the only outlier here, Azerbaijan, that they didn't report hunger, like really not. Yeah. So the rest of countries, they reported very similar, that they didn't have enough money to buy food. Overall, just preliminary, we see relationship. I think there is a relationship between inflation and food insecurity. So on the graph, you can see on the vertical, it's a hunger, when you eat less when you should, when there is not enough money. And on the horizontal, you can see inflation, perceived inflation of food security, food inflation. And you can see there is mostly a positive relationship. There is some outliers, like Pakistan, for example, Tajikistan. But overall, you can see that it's the higher inflation people think on food, the higher food insecurity, the greater food insecurity. Yeah. Now, it's important to understand, okay, so what people do when they have this hunger, what are the coping strategies taken by people to overcome this high inflation? And so here we can see that majority, what they do first thing is to reduce consumption and expenditure. So that's majority will respond to that, to reduce consumption. The other actions after that would be borrowing. So either they borrow from like financial institutions, or they borrow from friends and or relatives as well. So of course, family relationship is very important, and so that helps coping with hunger. Getting help from friends and relatives. So overall, let me summarize here, top 3 actions what people take when there is not enough food. First, reduce consumption or expenditure. That's the first thing they do. And next, they go to borrow, either from financial institutions or from friends. The rest are like much more or less. Yeah, and here some just very preliminary results. We estimated how inflation affects hunger, and we can see that on the top row, this price has gone up significantly. It's a positive, and stars means significance level. So the more stars, the significant, and plus sign means positive relationship. So we can see that the higher inflation, then the hungrier people. So they eat less than they should, or they're hungry but did not eat, or they didn't eat enough proteins. So that's the positive correlation between this food change in price and hunger, food insecurity. So I want to finish this with like previous speaker mentioned about digitalization from farmers. I want to say, so what are solutions for this hunger? Digitalization can help also to households, also to people. How? So first of all, Karek region, high adoption of digital technologies is very, very high. very high. So we found it from previous surveys. They really use lots of technologies, and also when I go myself to travel to my home country, I can see that all the people who sell food and so on, they all they don't need cash. They all use digital money, mobile money, and digital payments. So how can digitalization help to people? This is because they can, for example, find out cheaper prices for food. For example, now many people started to buy directly from farmers. Now it's easier because they use WhatsApp, they use mobile payments to buy directly from farmers rather than through, chain, which makes price higher. And also they can grow own animals in farmers using digital technologies. So they can call WhatsApp, making video calls, they can see their animals. So then it's harder to cheat. So for shepherds, it's harder to cheat because of these digital technologies, because they can watch on WhatsApp video, for example, and also they can call, they can send photos and videos to see how animals, for example, if animal was pregnant or not, gave birth or not, if animal is sick. So it makes a lot easier for, I think, digitalization for people to improve food security. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dina. Even you saved 2 minutes for us. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank you all the excellent speakers for their speeches. And some of them already summarized their speeches, but some of them not. I have some very short summarize, but I'm not sure if it's accurate. So I would like to share with you here. First, Wang Lingma's presentation, I would like to share 3 key words with you. First is ICT adoption. I'm not sure if it's correct. And then second is they empowers the rural women and farm household. Yeah, that there is the whole sentence I note, to repeat it. And then the third sentence I would like, still lived in my mind is ICT adoption significantly increase the household income, but access to credit significantly decrease it. So please also think about what you have some takeaways from their presentation. And for our second presenter, Professor Emily, I really impressed by your presentation. So the first keywords left in my mind is policy dialogue, and then data scarce countries, and the third one is potential solutions. You highlight a lot of, but let's share with our audience later. And then the third speakers, Professor Paul Winters, I think you highlight the improvement of forecast. And then how can they improve the forecast can mitigate the risk and improve planning in agricultural sectors vulnerable to climate variability. Am I right? And then for Dina, you did a very excellent survey in CARIC countries. So I think the first keyword is survey in CARIC region. Second is maybe the food inflation you mentioned. And third one is food insecurity. Okay, thank you. And then now I would like open floor to all the audience here in this room, and also open to the audience online. But I'm not sure the online questions where I can read it. But first, let's open to the open floor. Yeah. You have one?
Can I say something? Just I brought some chocolates from Central Asia.
Oh.
So first 3 questions.
Yeah.
3 questions, first 3 I'll give.
Wow, great. Okay, so chocolate. Yeah, we have some incentive mechanism here. So please, ask questions. And just like I said, first, what's your name, where are you from, and what is your interest in? And then, what is your question? You want to ask which speaker to answer your question, or you would like several of them or all of them to answer your questions? Thank you. Please, you can sit there. There is a microphone in this room.
Good morning. I'm Art Yap from the Philippines. I'm working on solutions for rural financing, especially crop insurance. To Dr. Winters. Dr. Winters, in your vast experience of working with these institutions or on these subjects and topics, have we come across some solid models on where weather intelligence was able to bring down or facilitate crop insurance or lower the cost of crop financing? Also for others, I guess in your experience and in your studies, who seems to be the best adapter? Models in Asia to technology? Because we also work with onboarding farmers to adopt these technologies. Who are the best adapters in Southeast Asia and Africa, and why they seem to be the best adapters to technology? Or how technology today allows people to jump the technological divide. A few years ago, we'd have to go through certain processes, but now we can seem to jump. Who are the best jumpers, if you will, and why are they the best jumpers? Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you for your question, please. Yeah. Chocolate delivered. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, crop insurance is quite complicated, right? Because there's a lot of mixed evidence about when it's worked and when it hasn't worked. And there's cases where there was an attempt to put out crop insurance, but there was no take-up because farmers don't understand insurance. They don't trust that I'm going to give you some money at the beginning and then you're going to pay me back later. That requires that I believe that you're actually going to pay me back. And so there's actually early on a lot of failed examples of crop insurance. The ones that seem to be most successful are the ones that are linked to other types of rural finance, so that you have something that's either contingent payback, so something bad happens, then you don't have to pay back, or you're getting the crop insurance from the same institution that you're getting borrowing from, so it's a trusted institution. And so it tends to be that linking with other types of financial activities, intermediaries are most successful. There's a lot of, and we've been working on some of this, about evidence about how you can try to do this, linking it to other types of activities. So that seems to be the most promising path forward. In terms of the best adopters, a lot of the innovations that we're looking at, you're finding that digital agriculture is already being adopted by a lot of mid-scale farmers. The problem is getting it to penetrate beyond those mid-scale farmers. And this is generally with a lot of innovations, that they're the first to adopt are the farms that are slightly bigger. And then the question becomes, how can you get this to go to a whole other set of farmers, the small scale producers that organizations like the ADB and the people on this stage are most interested in reaching. So it becomes a question of, do you start by accepting that and then getting a basic platform set up and then try to penetrate further into the market, or how do you go about setting it up? But I don't know if others want to answer that question about the best adopters of technology.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Winters, and thank you for our first question asker. Then, who want to ask a question, please? Yeah, use the microphone here. Yeah, you can come here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am Ismail Hussain. I came from Bangladesh. I am going to Professor Paul again. You are telling about weather forecasting and investment in this sector. And sometimes you told about the Telangana model in India. Can you share the experience of Telangana model, some points, what they are doing there regarding weather forecasting or investment in weather? Okay. Thank you.
I might have to ask, I don't know, Ashita, do you want to come up? So Ashita is working for the Innovation Commission, and she's come here directly from India and working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. So why don't you just use the microphone right there? And if you can talk about that, since have a lot more details than I do.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So our work in Telangana is based on research by Professor Amir Jina and a bunch of other co-authors. And what they've done is send forecasts of monsoon onset to farmers in Telangana about a month in advance. These are forecasts farmers don't currently have access to, and their research has found that based on this information, farmers change input choices and they find it quite useful. And currently we're working with the government to scale this up to more districts in Telangana and send them monsoon onset information in early May this year. And happy to connect later if you have more questions. So we're planning on sending the forecast through the government, and the forecast itself will be procured from a private sector organization because the government currently doesn't produce it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, Paul and Sheena. You want? Okay.
Just the government has a system that they've set up already, and so we're trying to build off an existing system that has access to a lot of farmers. That is one of the challenges in lots of countries. If you don't have a system in which you basically have the phone numbers of farmers, then it's hard. But the Indian government starts with that, and so we're able to build off the experience in Telangana to work in other places.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Our second question asker, Dina. Chocolate delivered immediately. Then the third question. I find a hand from the back of this room. Yeah, please. Yeah,
yes,
you can come and ask your questions.
Good morning.
You already come? Sorry, I found yeah, there is a hand there. Yeah, you will be the next. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, please. Sorry, but you can share the chocolate.
Chocolate. Oh, this is favorite.
Yeah,
my
please,
favorite.
Yeah, let us know your name. Yeah, where you're from, and your question goes to which speakers. Thank you.
My name is Wim Bastiaanse. I'm working with Hydrosat. I'm a satellite remote sensing person. I'm from the Netherlands, but yeah, my question is also to Paul. The other speakers were really good.
Paul is so popular, huh?
All speakers were equally good, but Paul mentioned $1 investment in digital agriculture will give you back $46, which I found, and I hear for the first time. So can you elaborate where that number is coming from, and can we use that for many countries, or is this India specific?
Thank you.
Ask for support of a friend. Kyle, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, Paul has his.
So the Innovation Commission has a whole secretariat at the University of Chicago, and so different people are working on different areas. Kyle is in charge of the research group that's been helping with some of these calculations, and it's also been getting input from professors around the world. So we do. When you work with a Nobel laureate, lots of people are willing to talk to you. And so we've been able to get a lot of help from different professors around the world. Amara is going to, I guess, take this one.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Thank you so much for the question. This number is based on a meta-analysis that was done of compiling data from several randomized controlled trials in East Africa. So the region is focused on East Africa. And it basically tested increases in adoption of lime for acidic soils and fertilizer use across all of these trials, and that's where the 1:46 ratio comes from. We'd be happy to share the paper as well. This has recently been released.
Just in general, we were asked about 3 words. One of the words I was going to say is cost effectiveness. And I think that's an important thing to think about in the context of agriculture and climate change. There are technologies out there that have these incredible returns, the same kind of returns you get from things like vaccines and health. I mean, Michael's background is originally in the health sector, and he did work on deworming medicine and vaccines. And in the health sector, you get these amazing returns, 5 cents for a pill and you change people's lives, right? Or for a vaccine. We're finding the same kind of thing in agriculture, but we're not doing it, right? We're not scaling it up. And so we can get these really high effects by small investments. Sending a text message once you've set up the system is incredibly cheap. And the more people you get, the higher the return, because you've spent the fixed cost and the marginal cost. Each additional person is lower. So creating big systems have these incredible returns. And you can calculate those returns by what's the change in behavior of farmers. How is their profits increases? You get, I said the $3 billion in India. If you get 11.5% profit increase in India, given the number of farmers, you will get billions of benefits automatically, since it's such a big country. So this is the potential of digital agriculture, and we need to try to figure out how we're going to scale up and realize that potential.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. I have found many hands. So please, yeah. Sorry for your, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Aris Asilo, and we're working with coffee in Mindanao. We actually have a booth there in the main hall. Basically, we work with Internet of Things technology to improve coffee production in Mindanao. We have 4 sites in Mount Apo, Davao, 1 in Sultan Kudarat, and 2 in Bukidnon. And for the last 2 years, we've been trying to introduce ICT to the marginalized sectors, to the IP sectors. But we're always facing the perennial problem of they're averse of implementing or understanding about, these innovations. For example, we're introducing the localized weather forecasting because we use sensors in the sites. And these are all alien to the people when you go there. Secondly, is the lack of infrastructure when it comes to internet. Now we have Starlink, and we're trying to introduce Starlink so that it will be easily accessible by the farmers in the areas. So we're facing 2 problems. One is the aversion of, the farmers are averse. These tools are, these ICT are just tools. They're not magic. They cannot easily or immediately solve these things. The second thing is that once we introduce this, and they receive an SMS of the data they receive, like environmental parameters of temperature, humidity, soil moisture, and they receive it. Now they have to do something when they find out that they have low moisture or high temperature. They have to do something. But there's another problem, the language barrier. So because of different languages in the Philippines, very difficult sometimes to convert in their language, say, soil moisture. How do you say it in their language? So my question would be, given this background and our actual experience on the ground, and sometimes there's a gap on what's actually in the research and what's happening on the granular level. So based on my experience and based on your researches, I'd like to know your advice on our experiences and how we can further capacitate the farmers so that, because our goal is to train them become farmer scientists, they will be able to transfer the knowledge we transfer to them to add it to their community, sustaining their sustainability. My question is be, anyone in the panel, what could be your advice to help us youths, our group, because we're composed of youths, in order to encourage more youths to join the innovation, and so therefore there will be more youths, not just because the average age of farmers in the Philippines is 57, it's too old. So we have to involve more youths in the ICT. So I'd like to know your advice on how we can gap the language barrier, how we can simplify the wordings or the ICT, that they will no longer be averse, so that there will be more people to, more farmers or IPs to adopt the technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, who? Okay, thank you, Hamidi, first.
I'll give some insight, and then perhaps some of my other colleagues might want to say something. I think you bring up a really good point. Another one that you made me think of as you were talking is, in Papua New Guinea, only 50% of our rural sample is literate. So that brings in another challenge. Also, and perhaps you know, but there's 900 official languages in Papua New Guinea. So we suffer from that same challenge in the sense of how do you communicate knowledge and information. I would say there's a couple of opportunities here. One is you make your farmer scientists part of your collaborative effort. And some of those tools and technologies that I was showing in terms of that weather station, right? Those can sit, they're actually quite easy, they're solar powered. Make them the farmer scientist. Work with them, allow them to be looking at these data, okay? So if you've already created a network, and this is something that we've worked through a lot in terms of the food price analysis work as well, we have a network of farmer extensions that are actually, they have it on their phone, and they're going out and they're talking to farmer leaders that are in these communities, and they're showing them what the data mean. So it's not just a complete digital outreach. There's still a human there. But then also, if you want farmers to become scientists, boy, you got to train them to become scientists. And some of these tools have become actually quite easy for them to uptake and take on. So I think in that sense, converting that knowledge into action is really all about collaboration particularly in places where there's this aversion to IT, or there's this unknown ability to transfer some of those key concepts into meaningful interpretation.
Thank you. Emily, other colleagues want to share? Oh, please, Wang Lima. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, yeah, thank you. And probably I can add something about how to increase the technology adoption, especially innovative and new technologies. And apart from training farmers, I think another way is to develop smartphone-based apps to train farmers. And probably it's a good strategy to ask the professional company to help to develop some videos and ask farmers to watch, because before farmers can adopt some new innovations, they have to understand the benefits associated with new technology before they can accept it. And also, they want to understand the technology well before they can work on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wang Lima.
Yeah, so just add
yeah,
a little
very
bit.
short answer.
So it's important access to internet and digital technologies. So infrastructure. So for countries, for example, for CAREC, which territory is huge, enormous, population density is very small, and access to infrastructure for internet, quality of internet, yeah, it's very, very important. And how to provide this internet connection to isolated areas, yeah, like where the farm is usually located. It's far away, so we have places where people live, and there is not only no internet connection, but even no cell phone connection, right? But for example, comparing to Japan, even if you climb Mount Fuji, you have internet connection and mobile connection.
Yeah. Thank you, Dina. Wow, we have some hands there. I just, the last question, please, very brief, and then also a very brief answer. We are
good morning. Andrew Powell, Asia Biobusiness in Singapore. We do a lot of work in the communication of innovation, and I think one of the things that we should realize that in this case of technology adoption, we're asking the smallholder farmers to change significantly their behavior. And we need to inculcate risk communication strategies into the communication that we use to encourage them to change their practices, understand what their risk perceptions are, and address those risk perceptions when we're getting them to change their technologies. It's not simply an education process. They have got concerns that we need to address. And this risk communication thing can be applied to all kinds of technologies where there's pushback. And there's pushback to the adoption of this technology. We need to think about how we communicate better. It's not just about education. It's about inculcating risk-com strategies as well.
Thank you. Do you have any comments? Oh, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. And then my colleague in ADV, Monica, actually he's a co-organizer of this session. Yeah, I want to give her a privilege. Please brief your question, and also I would answer.
Okay, so I'm Monica. I'm digital agriculture expert, and I helped. It's not true that I'm co-organizing, just for the day. So sorry, I think in something that I'm listening, maybe we don't live in the same Asia. So this is the continent with the best connectivity in the world. This is the continent with more access to internet in the world. People is ready to use digitalization more here than in Europe, and I'm European. Okay? So the point is, what are we talking about? Governments want to invest. The technology is ready. We should stop making pilot small projects and scale up. And this is not, I mean, okay, Professor Winters is here. I happen to also work in the same field. So, okay, he gave this example, but there are many other examples. Traceability of livestock. We will talk a lot about this afternoon. We can really do it anywhere. There is no connectivity. We can use satellites, please. I mean, I totally disagree with this idea that farmers have to be convinced. I've been working with the government of Laos. We had the best agrometeorological system in Asia. So, and it's Laos, sorry. No, I think let's move forward and look at the scaling up of what exists. There is a lot that exists. There is something that still do not exist. Fine, let's do some research, but digitalization is here today and we have to make it. It's our responsibility.
Thank you very much, Monica. Yeah. Oh, please, Winter. Professor.
I agree with Monica. I would say some of the comments I think are not just that the digital agriculture is there, that people have access, but you can do things to make the uptake better. You can do things to make the response better, and this is what we mean by A/B testing. You could do things to make the language appropriate, all of these things. And so I agree with what Emily was saying, is that you think of farmers as scientists and, do citizen science where you're learning with them how to get the messages better and better and better and increase that cost effectiveness ratio more and more and more, the better that you do in giving these messages. So yes, the information the possibilities are already there, so let's scale them up, but let's be careful in how we implement those so we get the most out of the systems.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, all of you. Very good questions and excellent presentations. And also, I know there are many hands here, but sorry, we can't let you ask questions here. But you can find all these experts online. If you could use Google Scholar, you can find. They are already have a lot of innovative ideas in their remarkable the research papers. So. And in the future, we also looking forward, there are more research papers from them. Now, in one word, I want to say that, someone said, ask a good question is almost half of the solution we can find. I hope everyone, we can think about the digitalization and agriculture, the relationship, and no matter how difficult, how many challenges there are, we are going to overcome it. And there is a saying said today is not easy. Tomorrow probably much more difficult. But the day after tomorrow should be wonderful. I hope all of you enjoy it. Last, I would like to invite Dr. Dio, the Vice Chair of ADBI Research Department and Senior Research Fellow. Dr. Dio, give us a run-up here. I would like to ask your we already almost out of time, but next is like a little bit of break for coffee break. So we would like to give Dio-san several minutes. Thank you. Please join me. Welcome. Dio-san, run up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I want to be very brief because we are running out of time. But let me just begin by saying that we, as a humanity, have made great progress in terms of achieving food security. If you look at 1960s, we had drought, famine, and we really suffered a lot. But between 1960 to today, we have made tremendous progress. We have increased our food productions by many folds. And that's the possibility that we can make. And if you look at it, most of the increase in these productions has come from Asia, and not through increase in land, but it's increase in productivity. That's what we have done. However, if you look at today's situations, we are at a crossroad. Despite such humongous achievements, we are facing challenges. Almost close to 790 million people are hungry. Almost like, if you look at moderate to severe food insecurity, it's about 2 billion. Nutritional security is about 800 million. So the challenges is not yet over. But if you look at the road ahead, it's very bumpy. You can see that, right? This bumpy road is being created by climate change. We are facing severe climate change. And it's going to be more harsh the way things are moving forward. The environmental damage that we have done, the land that we have degraded, the water that we have polluted is going to also put lots of pressures on the production system. Not only the environmental and the natural resource challenges, but also we are facing the challenges because if you look at the COVID, it really disrupted food production system, led to increase in prices. And the conflicts also led to hike in food prices. So the situation is very, very serious and dire. If we don't act, it's going to put us into very great problem in terms of achieving food and nutritional security. But there are several solutions. One of the solutions that has come up in a good way is digitalizations. And digitalizations, as Professor Wang Ningma highlighted, that there are several benefits that digitalizations have brought in. It has led to increase in productions. It has led to connecting with the markets. And also, if you look at Dr. Emily Smith, she really pointed out that through the use of digital technology, we can collect data from at very quick pace and also from regions where it's very difficult to access. So that helps us in planning, in distributing foods. And Paul highlighted the case of the weather forecasting. I think as Paul rightly pointed out that it's becoming more and more accurate. We are becoming more and more agile in using this technology and disseminating those informations. And it's really helping farmers to adapt to climate change, adapt to the changes in the markets. And Dina also highlighted that there are problems in regions like Kharek regions where it's very difficult to get data. And through the use of digital technology, we can easily get data, we can make fast decisions, we can disseminate information quickly. But also, like any revolutions that happens, always comes with challenges. We had the industrial revolutions that brought in challenges. The digitalization AI, it's a great revolution, and next 20 years is going to be phenomenal changes that you'll see in different sectors that AI and digitalization is going to lead. And we cannot run away from it. We have to adopt it, use it for the benefits of the mankind. Though there are challenges, there are several challenges, the challenges of misinformations, miscommunications, the propaganda messages that really tend to, because farmers are flooded with lots of informations, and it's very difficult for the farmers to really select the information that's very important to take decisions. And also we should note that for farmers, smallholder farmers who lives on an acre of land, it's everything that they have. One simple mistake can put them and their family and their generations into poverty and into debt trap. We have seen that. And I think technology can help, but we should try and learn from our experience as to how we can scale this up and how we can minimize the negative consequences that may arise from the use of digital technology. With this, I'd like to thank Professor Wang Ningma, Dr. Emily Smith, Professor Paul Winter, Dina, my friend, Yizing San, our friend from ADBI. And I'd also like to thank the organizer, ADB, Monica, who have been working very hard, and the entire team who have put this together. And all of us, and many of us here, sitting here today, are somehow closely related to farms. We have been closely working with farmers, but many of us are the sons of farmers. Like us who are sitting here are the sons of farmers. We have lived in the farm for many, many years. And I'd like to send you a message that let's use this digital technology to improve the life of our families and friends and everyone across the world. Thank you very much.